Pokemon Go is taking the world by storm, and almost every day more secrets and tips are discovered within the app's software. Here are some things you probably didn't know about the new phenomenon known as Pokemon Go. In Pokemon's popular lore, the fuzzy dog-like creature known as Eevee has long been a popular favorite. Eevee's bubbly personality and adorable looks are only amplified when audiences discovered that Eevee had the ability to evolve into multiple different Pokemon, instead of just one kind like the majority of other Pokemon. In the first generation series of the game, Eevee can evolve into the water-type Vaporeon, the electric-type Jolteon, or the fire-type Flareon, all dependent on what a trainer uses to evolve their Eevee. Likewise, Eevees are one of Pokemon Go's most common Pokemon, and players have recently discovered that you can change Eevee's evolution merely by giving your captured Eevee a different name. By renaming your Eevee Pyro, you can evolve your Eevee into Flareon, rename it Sparky to get a Jolteon upon evolution, and rename it Rainier to get the elusive Vaporeon. This means you'll have to catch and release lots of Eevees in order to get the Eevee candies that help evolution. But for dedicated trainers, this is only a fun challenge. There have been numerous accounts of individuals who have used Pokemon Go as a way to mug and rob unsuspecting players in the real world. These criminals use devices known as lures to attract Pokemon to a specific area. Players can see where the lures have been set, and knowing that more Pokemon will appear around them, will travel there in hopes to catch rare Pokemon. When players get there, they are assaulted by the robbers, who usually attempt to steal phones and wallets. Over a dozen cases of these incidents have been reported across the United States, so players should be wary of the environments they trek in order to get their elusive Pokemon. But probably the strangest phenomenon regarding Pokemon Go has been that of players accidentally wandering into various places all over the world and finding dead bodies. On multiple occasions have teenagers and adults around the world, from the United States to Singapore, found the corpses of men and women that were previously discarded by their killers. While there's no way to predict if you too will stumble upon a dead body, if you do, shut the game off. Do not touch anything. Leave the area to a safe location and call the police. On a lighter note, it is interesting to know that a bunch of murderers and serial killers are likely terrified that the bodies they've hidden will be discovered by kids trying to catch Pokemon in the woods. While originally benefiting from the app's enormous popularity and sales, Nintendo found itself in a rough spot after they told their investors they did not have anything to do with the game itself. While Nintendo helps create and release the Nintendo-based Pokemon games for handheld and console systems, game company Niantic Labs and Pokemon's real owner, the Pokemon Company, were the ones involved in Pokemon Go's creation. Nintendo, which owns exactly 32% of the Pokemon Company, was essentially left in the dust as investors quickly dropped away, angry that they would not receive big benefits from the app phenomenon. The stock dropped 17 points in one day, estimating that Nintendo lost nearly $6.4 billion in the miscommunication. Unknown to many, while Pokemon Go has you capture a starter Pokemon of Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur just like in the original games, it is actually possible to catch Pikachu as your starter Pokemon. In order to do this, when the game starts, you must walk away from the 3 original Pokemon when they appear around you. As you get farther and farther away, they will continue to respawn around you. Run from them a total of 4 times, and after the 4th escape, a Pikachu will randomly respawn around the other Pokemon as well, allowing you to catch it. Pokemon Go was not an entirely original creation. Its creator Niantic Labs first used a game called Ingress to find all the real-world locations that would double as in-game locations for Pokemon Go. Because this planning was not done by an individual finding specific locations and making them attainable by an appropriate context, some of the real-world locations Pokemon Go sends you to for Pokestops or gyms are bizarre. Players have discovered that some Pokestops are located in cemeteries and are people's graves. Others have found Pokestops in gyms at strip clubs and churches. Others have found that there are Pokestops and gyms out in the middle of lakes and rivers, and the only way to get there is by boat. And because of Pokemon Go's popularity all over the world, that means soldiers fighting in the Middle East are capable of hunting down Pokemon in between times of exchanging fire with the enemy. One notable occasion shows a US soldier capturing a Squirtle on top of his nearby tank in the middle of the desert while the troop was out hunting ISIS terrorists. Why a Squirtle would be found in the middle of one of the hottest deserts on Earth is beyond us, but obviously isn't the first time the game is glitched for a user. A man named Nick Johnson became the first person to effectively beat Pokemon Go in early August of 2016. He captured all 145 Pokemon that were available to players in the United States, giving him the title of the first Pokemon Master. Because some Pokemon can only be found in certain states, Johnson had to travel all around the country in order to catch them all. And even still, Niantic has stated that not all the Pokemon that can be caught have been released yet. They still say that there are multiple legendary Pokemon that will be released to the public in various forms in the coming months, meaning it's still possible to go out and catch them all before Nick Johnson is able to. One of the most surprising feats of Pokemon Go has been that of its ability to surpass Tinder, Twitter, and Tumblr in the amount of users on a daily basis. This has led to an enormous amount of sales in-game, as players purchase Pokecoins, lures, and Pokeballs in order to satisfy their Pokemon obsession. It's reported that Pokemon Go has added $7 billion to the Pokemon Company's profit margins, illuminating it to be a massive success. Less shocking is the fact that users who download the game spend more time on it than users do on Snapchat or Instagram, usually playing the game for a good 45 minutes to an hour, instead of the 25 minutes spent on Snapchat or Instagram. Since becoming a popular game, Pokemon Go has encouraged some pretty wild Google search questions, but among the more common ones, users ask where they can find a specific Pokemon within their state. A map was created showing the Pokemon most searched for in each state, and included individuals like Squirtle in California, Mewtwo in Florida, Moltres in Indiana, and Mew in Idaho.